Troy and Yar share a giggle at Commander Riker's expense. The only sneezes Worf knows are Klingon sneezes, and Captain Picard eats a snowball. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton and Denise Crosby.
Hi, guys.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 1, Episode 13, Angel 1, written by Patrick Berry, directed by Michael Ray Rhodes. This was January 23rd, 1988. Where were you? We have a very special guest today, everybody, Mr. Leonard Crowfoot, who played Trent in this episode. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Also, everybody, special thanks to Grandpa One, a.k.a. Tim Baum, for sponsoring this entire first season. And special thanks to Linda Anderegg for this particular episode. She loves it. How's everybody doing?
We're good.
Very good.
Doing good.
Let's just get started, Leonard. First of all, thank you so much for joining us. And you've got a remarkable story that starts well before Star Trek The Next Generation. Can you tell everybody what made you become an entertainer, a dancer, specifically a ballet dancer?
Well, I was crippled when I was a boy. I lived in a wheelchair, formative years, age 4 to 7. And I couldn't walk for that amount of years. And I went into school later, and the doctor said once I could walk that I should take some exercise. So ballet classes was offered. And I had one leg longer than the other because I wore a leg brace as well with a Frankenstein shoe, and I had a cross the leg around and stiff leg. So one leg was shorter, about 1.5 inches shorter. So they said ballet class would be the best thing to do. Of course, this was the 50s, and we're supposed to wear tights around those days, and but I went into it, and I said yes because I liked the teacher's daughter. She was a vavoom. And really, she was layered. I just loved her, and I wanted to be in the class with her. She was a real looking girl, and so anyway, I got to taking classes from there on. I fell in love with dance, and it gave me a purpose, and got stronger, and so then I just became a professional after that. I just started working. Right out of high school, I got into my first Broadway show, The Happy Time. I was 19. And before that, I was with the Bolshoi and Kirov. I danced with them as an American student. We first saw Cirroc. And that was wonderful as well. So then I went to Broadway, and I was there from 67 to 85. And I did Broadway musicals, and 6 original musicals. And then I after that I went out to California, and I did some television before that, but then I got the Star Trek's Next Generation, and
heard of it?
It was just terrific. It was,
Wow.
I loved it. And then when Jonathan Frakes, he needed somebody who could move for the second one for Star Trek Next Generation, The Offspring. So he knew me from Broadway days and said, "Oh, get Leonard back in here," because we'd worked together in Angel 1.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, so real quick, that's listening in, he's talking about, if you remember the episode Offspring, before Lau chose her gender and what she wanted to be, there was a model robot type. This was played by Leonard.
I played a metallic-eyed, latex-bunsed, neuter-gendered android.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
It was great fun. Yeah, it was neat.
Oh wow! Oh my God!
Yeah, I was almost naked, but they wanted to have buns, showing, but they couldn't. They had to be latex for television. So
wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
that was neat. Yeah.
God.
Yeah, you almost had your buns out in this Angel One episode.
Yeah.
You noticed.
I
There's a
noticed
great-
that a little bit.
There's a great shot of your bum,
Yeah.
as you're walking away with the little strategic
I remember.
straps, really.
Yeah,
just
those
isolating
straps were,
those-
that's a great word, Denise, strategic.
Yeah. I
Yes,
wasn't looking. It just popped out at me. That's all. I
Oh,
wasn't
you couldn't take your
particularly
eyes
looking.
off. I mean, it was
Hey,
like,
it was a close up.
yeah,
Yeah,
your
it certainly
butt got
was.
close up.
I was like, okay, well, that's a debut if I've ever seen one. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Tell us about the auditioning for this role, this first time coming up for the Next Generation. Did they
Well,
give you an idea?
No, I originally auditioned for a Ferengi. It was 3 different Ferengis, and they called me in for that, and I read for 2 of the 3. And then I was told, well, we're not going to use you for this. You did a fine job, but we have something else in mind. So go home, tell your agent that we'll be back in touch. So I said, oh, okay, thanks. So a couple months, 3 months, I forget how many months exactly, but they called me in for Angel One. And that's what they had in mind.
Wow.
So they had me read, and I read and said, okay, thank you very much. We'll be in touch. We're going to call your agent. So then I got the part.
Wow.
Just
So
to
they had it in
rewind,
mind previously,
yeah, just to rewind a little bit. First of all,
Yeah.
it's very clear in your acting that you're a dancer. Your posture is amazing. Your musculature is perfect. I mean, because ballet is no joke. You need to be extremely strong to do that, especially in the lower half. But auditioning for the Ferengi, I had no idea about that. Do you remember anything about that process, or what they told you, or what you did? Because I can't imagine somebody with the dancer's build and the dancer's posture and movements doing this herky-jerky thing that we saw the Ferengi doing.
Yeah.
It might have been quite different if Leonard would have played
Absolutely.
that. He'd be more, they'd be more
graceful.
like, yeah.
Well, I think it had to do with height. I think they were looking for short men. I think that was the prerequisite. And usually in many cases with me, that is the case, that they want a shorter man. So then I'm put in a pool. I think that's what it was. I don't remember the name of the title of it, but it
Last
was
Outpost.
with 3 Ferengis. 3. And
Yeah.
I don't remember much more about it. As far as the audition goes, I think they were like fighting with each other, as I recall, but I'm not quite sure. But it had to do with height. That was the prerequisite for getting us in, because everybody was around the same height when I auditioned.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
not
think
right.
that was.
I want to go back to the story you said about being in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
And so once you got out of that wheelchair and started the rehabilitation and getting into ballet, you never looked back from that point. That you never saw the wheelchair again. And did the
I did. Yeah, my dad offered it to me when they were going to get rid of some things. He said, maybe you want to keep this as sentimental, with your porta potty and the whole thing,
Wow.
No, I had what was a disease of the hip, the right hip. It was called Perthes. It's similar to polio. So that's what I had. And you have to stay off of your leg. But I had a secret hiding place, the weeping willow tree. When you're young, nothing's going to keep you in a chair, So I used to, hand over hand, I'd crawl up into the tree from my wheelchair. I wasn't supposed to walk. The doctors said, don't walk, because this could be life-changing. You will never you'll be crippled for life. But I had the weeping willow tree. And actually, I wrote a story about it. It's coming out on iTunes and streaming. It's coming out. I wrote the whole thing about that. And it's coming out with TuneCore. TuneCore is putting it out.
What is the story going to be called so that people can look out for it?
Well, it's called School Day, and it's an album which is just a single, and it's going to be Elementary School, it's called. Okay. And right now I have it planned for May 22nd to be released on all streaming everywhere. It's about 8 minutes long, and it shows what it felt like for a boy. It's written in the third person, so it's this kid, but it's really autobiographical. It's me, and it's what he felt, going to school for the first time. So School Day, it's that day. Wow. And I kind of like it. I hope people will tune in and check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have to use a crutch or something when you went to school?
So the problem was they did not allow wheelchair accessibility, nor crutches, nor a brace. So I was, went directly into the second grade, having never been to the first grade or kindergarten, and only had minimal training at home with a home teacher. I didn't know my ABCs, didn't know nothing. And it was brand new to me, and the story will explain that. And also, I wrote the music to it.
Wow.
So
wow.
But yes, I did wear crutches at the very end. After I got the leg brace off, then I wore crutches. I had crutches for about 2 weeks. But when I went to school, no, they wouldn't allow any of that. That's why I couldn't go to school. No wheelchair accessibility.
It's interesting we're talking about this because just this past week, last week, the woman who was instrumental in changing LA's school, in changing educational laws to allow wheelchairs in the classroom, she just passed away. Wow. She was nationally recognized because she had polio as a child and was forbidden to go to school. And she later became a teacher herself. So she was active in absolutely sort of the grandmother of this movement of that to change.
Bless her heart.
Education. Yeah. I wish I could remember her name offhand. I was driving in the car and NPR was talking about her work and her contribution to this. And it was, you take so much for granted, but this was not a possibility for you as a child to actually go to school.
No, I couldn't go.
When you first entered a ballet studio, what was that like? I mean, I studied ballet and I know how insanely difficult and grueling those
that's my question too. It's like the rigors of the training. It's very demanding to be perfect in that. You can't just.
It's exacting. It's exacting. Ballet, which I'm assuming was incredibly corrective for your body.
Well,
but not at first.
No, not at first. At first, I was 2 left feet with 1 leg shorter.
And how did that take?
Yeah.
What was that process? My God.
Well, it didn't come easy to me, but I wanted to impress the daughter. So I worked hard. I slammed it. I did the best I could. I tried to show up. And because I'd been sequestered into a wheelchair all those years, I was hot to trot. I wanted to put out energy, something fierce.
So the hip was healed enough, or was it completely eradicated?
They said it could come back in years later, but that's the doctors saying that. as a precaution, I suppose, to cover themselves, perhaps,
Mm.
But
Right.
I haven't had a problem with it. No, but I don't have the turnout in the right hip that I do in the left. So
Right.
it is slightly restricted, but not so much.
But
Not
my
so much
God,
that
I
it
mean, to
bothers me
go
at all.
to then go with the Bolshoi. I mean,
Bolshoi and Kirov, yeah. I
mean,
played a
they're not.
grasshopper.
My God, that's, I mean, really astounding. Were you in
Well,
Russia with them, or were they here?
No,
Did they have-
no, it was American kids. They hired American kids to be in their ballet school, which was the Bolshoi. And then for the Kirov, it was this number where we played grasshoppers. And
Okay.
I was with the Bolshoi 2 years, doing the ballet school thing. So it was just in a ballet school with all these other Bolshoi dancers, fabulous, incredible dancers.
And
And
where
we were
was
there
that?
at the bar.
Where was that, Leonard?
At the Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it
where
was
they,
mega. It was beautiful. And Saul
Yeah.
Hurok, he was the impresario. It's big deal,
geez, no
But it
kidding.
was, so inspiring when you see those dancers dance, man. You just want to do it. You
Oh,
just want to
yeah.
do what they're doing.
Yeah.
Such an incredible turnaround. As Denise said, it's astounding. It's shocking
Yeah.
that in 10 years, from 7 to 17, you could have that kind of metamorphosis and transformation. And then into acting, of course, and then into Star Trek. I'm kind of curious now. I wanted to ask you at the top, but this is way more interesting what you've been through. But were you ever a fan of Star Trek beforehand? Had you ever watched it or dreamed of being on the show, and what were your impressions when you were cast?
Well, I saw all of the Star Trek original and just taken by it. I mean, I couldn't wait. So when I got called in for Star Trek: The Next Generation, I was like ecstatic. Are you kidding me? Oh God, I want this so bad. I was a real fan of Star Trek, the original. And then when I started with Angel One, it was the first year.
Mhm.
So for me, everybody was everybody was so nice, so kind, so good, talented. From the cast to the crew to the administration, everybody. And everybody was, though, there was a certain tension in the air. Are we going to get, continue? So everybody was really gung-ho. Man, everybody wanted to put it into the whole pot and just do it right. Success, and it was kind of like that. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
So when I and at the same time there was all this joy of everybody saying, "Oh, can I get you this? Can I? Oh, let's do." Very professional, but there was this air of tension because it hadn't been picked up yet. And then when the third season came, the Offspring, everything had settled in. Everything was cool and just homey, and everybody was wonderful with each other and just, it's easy going kind of thing, but still focused because it was Star Trek: The Next Generation. It was important. And it was just terrific. I thoroughly enjoyed both times.
You actually did return in Voyager too. I can't remember the episode offhand, but that just
Virtuoso, I think.
Virtuoso. That's right. No, that's what it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I played a dignitary. They called me and they said, "Can you do some comedic, reactions kind of thing?" I said, "Sure." So they called me in for this dignitary, and he was supposed to be looking at a concert, they explained that he'd never seen a concert before, this alien. So it was like they panned the camera, and I went, One of those, I don't know whether they kept it or not, but so they laughed, so it was fun. It just, gosh, I was out of there in probably about 4 hours, 3 or 4 hours, but it was really nice too. Nice to be back.
Great.
Leonard, when I was watching this Angel 1 episode, I had the feeling, or I was under the presumption that your character was in love with or had a crush on the main mistress.
Yatra, yeah.
Yeah, and so then I actually felt like there was a deleted scene that we didn't get to see that showed some conversations between you. Were there any deleted scenes that you know of?
No, not that I know of, but I was her henchman, and I pictured that we were, love interest, So when Jonathan came in with his hairy chest, I was quite jealous.
That's what I felt.
How do you get hair like that? Dang it. And then he's with her, and I was, it's like, this is not set well with me, but she's the boss, and dang it,
That's how
there was no
exactly
extra
how
scenes.
I felt.
Yeah, it was.
So you were playing that. That was something you added in your head.
Yeah, that's my character. What I came in with.
Worked.
And the whole thing, the thing. There's a scene with the spray the chest, with the spray.
Yeah.
That was an improv. That was mine.
Really?
Oh,
I wondered about that.
Yeah, good one.
And they kept it. They said, "Oh, that's great. We're going to keep that take."
It makes perfect sense because there's all this run up to it being an average.
Yeah. He's got hair. And I better make it grow.
That was great. That was a nice moment. That was a great moment.
Good touch. Good touch.
Well, it was an amazing. It was an amazing scene. A lot of great scenes with you. You were peppered in throughout the entire episode, which I was happy to see. Sometimes people they're focused in on one scene, but you were really there, present in every scene practically. It seemed. Do you remember how many days that was? Was it 2 or 3 that you worked on the show?
I think it was 6 days. I think it was 6 all total. That's what I recall. It might have been 5, but I think it was 6. Almost a week. So I think it was 6. Maybe it could have been 5 because maybe the weekend they let them out and then they went on to the next show. I'm not sure, but it wasn't 4. No.
Yeah. It took 7 days to shoot each episode.
So I was thinking 6. Yeah.
Wow, fantastic. Well, Leonard, this has been so cool. We really, really, really appreciate you jumping on and joining us to reminisce and tell us all about your story. You've got so much more to tell the world. By the way, everybody can look up leonardcrowfoot.com, no W in Crowfoot. But we will link that in the description box below so you can check everything out and follow up with his really cool iTunes story that's coming out on May 22nd called School Day. Please send us an email too to remind us, and we'll be sure to send it out as well. Well, thanks very much, Leonard. Really appreciate it. It's been amazing.
Leonard,
thank you.
What a pleasure. What a wonderful, deep gift you have given me today.
Oh, thank you very much. And you guys too, as well. Thank you for the invite. It was real pure pleasure.
Let's do it again.
Everybody else there.
Yes. Sooner than 35 years. God bless
you.
Leonard will still look the same.
Yeah. You really turned tragedy into triumph, and we thank you for sharing that story. That's an uplifting story for anybody to know that you can overcome so much and reach great heights that you have reached. So thank you for that too as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. And everybody at home, stick around. There's no excuse. Get up and go do something. Leonard is is living proof that you can do anything.
Wow.
Stick around. We'll be right back on the Seventh Rule. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Seventh Rule with Denise, Crosby, and Cirroc. Lofton. Denise was just talking about cantaloupes. Here are the trivioids of the week. There are a bunch. The 7-year overdue Federation freighter Odin, disabled by an asteroid collision, showed no signs of life. Wesley's ski instructor has him scheduled for the Danubian Alps. Romulan battle cruisers are located near a Federation border post. Captain Picard eats a snowball. Something smells slightly reminiscent of night blooming frogni, I think was the freaking word. Mm-hmm. Wesley is a little congested. Riker is down to wear indigenous apparel. Commander Riker wore furs on Cabotrys to meet with the Leadership Council, and he wore feathers on Armis 9. I never caught that before. Armis 9. The only sneezes Worf knows are Klingon sneezes. Ramsey and his men are anarchists. It's refreshing change to be with a man who knows what he wants. And poor Picard can't say his favorite word. Right. All right.
Jam-packed this episode.
Yeah.
It was.
Jam-packed.
Definitely was. Just like that dancer's belt. No, dancer's belt is something else. It was interesting, though. Tall women, short men. But the lady was somehow interested in a man who's 6'4". She was like, "What is that? I want this guy."
She definitely liked the hair on his chest. I mean,
yeah.
She was all over that fur. So.
Yeah, I see that Riker set his phaser on stun too.
On fun. Denise, do you remember working on this episode? Do you remember walking around?
A single moment.
Oh, bummer,
I'm starting to get worried now. You know, like I have total erased any recollection. I mean, I don't. And I was pretty present.
You were
in the
very much.
I cannot. It's so funny. I'm going, God, I don't remember this scene. I don't remember going to like Ramsey's hideout, and just, none of it. Not
you really make every scene better from a fan's point of view that has watched mostly later seasons. Watch it. It's almost like you add a sense from a fan, a confidence in that everything's going to be okay. It's okay. Tasha Yar is here. She's got it. She's professional. She's security. It gives us more of a sense of ease that the away mission is going to do fine. But the other thing was, I noticed you were in charge when you left Riker and the three of you went off.
Yeah.
You were in charge of 2 officers that outrank you, which was interesting. You're a lieutenant. They're both lieutenant commanders, but you were in charge of the away mission, which was a really interesting thing.
Right. I felt that too. I mean, I saw that too, although, and again, rightfully so. I mean, we're talking about security here. So she's got to, there are risks and there's issues and there's danger. There's some, I don't know, is Counselor Troy, she is a commander?
Lieutenant commander. Yeah.
Lieutenant commander.
So she and Data are one step above you, one step below Riker.
Right. So I loved, in this particular episode, I really loved Tasha's energy.
Yeah.
That, it was different than what we've seen. There's kind of an outlandish quality. Like her reactions are like, what? Huh? You're not kidding. You're really going to do that?
You got to be kidding me is the line.
Yeah. And she's sitting, like everyone's standing And she just sits. I love that she's sitting. She's the only one that sits in that room. And that's a sign of, confidence, of comfort, of at ease, that she's comfortable enough to take a seat in there while they're being held. And she's twirling this, weird looking sculpture. And she's like looking at her hand. I mean, there was just such a strong command and wit and humor to Tasha in this scene. I loved when, he comes out, Riker comes out in this outfit, and she's like, this is ridiculous, but it's kind of sexy, but it's kind of like she would have the wherewithal to say that to him.
She's totally messing with this poor guy.
She's just taking it, one step further in this episode. It's really kind of
I
fun
like it
to watch.
I felt the same way about Tasha. I thought that, wow, finally I see the playful side of her. She was, that joking with Riker, I thought was great. It just makes her more of a human character instead of just always waiting for orders or something,
Right.
This was more I felt like the chemistry and the camaraderie amongst each other. That was one of the things I really enjoyed about it. The other thing I liked about Tasha was when Riker finally decides that he wants to go on the love boat and he leaves you in charge, you take charge right away. Yeah. Okay, boom, let's go. You are right away in action mode. You're like, okay, so I'm in charge. I need 3 to beam up down to here, and we got to get things going. You didn't hesitate. You weren't like, whoa, what do I do? It was like, okay, let's go.
Yeah. Well, and remember last week we talked about how she was obviously fast-tracked through the process, that because of her age and her, her rank, she had to have, just to do the math. So here you see how efficient
and not only that, but I enjoyed as well the interrogation kind of scene with the guys who were ostracized out into the camp with Ramsey. When you walk up on Ramsey and start asking questions, then you finally make the decision, okay, let's go. Data says, hey, technically they have the right, they're not Starfleet, they have the right to stay here if they really want to. We can't force them to go. And the way you process that information, and we're like, okay, let's get out of here. And I just love the decision making. It was assertive. It was you took charge.
Yeah.
The only minor complaint I had with it was that I would feel like you would be the person to be the delegate to communicate with these women that are in charge of this planet, because
whereas Riker's like, I'll handle this. Yeah, you guys get out of the way. Yeah, I mean, go find that thing.
Yeah. Wouldn't you send the strong woman who's no nonsense to deal with the other strong woman that's no nonsense? I just think that would be the natural thing.
Yeah, I wonder why Riker did that.
Right. Absolutely. All it was to give them a, cushy, mushy, whooshy moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Chest rubbing and, kissy.
Because logically,
wouldn't it have been cool if Tasha went and was like making out with her?
Yeah.
That you never.
And she's like, Commander, permission to keep Data here?
You never called it, who's to say Tasha, it wouldn't have feelings, for her or she for her.
We'll see who the lead mistress is around here.
That's right. Bitch, Miss Beata. I'm here now.
I think because that was my instinct. I was like, wouldn't Tasha's the best candidate for this diplomacy? That would be the person I would elect to handle this, but
because he's in charge.
Of course, Riker's like, I'll
handle this one.
I got the outfit on. I got my hair showing. I actually thought it was a little weird because I'm going, but Troy is here. Like, don't they have a thing?
Yeah, what happened to their thing? Yes. What happened
Yeah,
to
like,
that?
dude. I mean,
Yeah.
she
Now
like
you know why they're broken up. Riker
Yeah,
never
well,
met an alien.
I didn't
but there
like
wasn't
that one
even
at
there
all.
wasn't even an address. There wasn't even an acknowledgement.
I
They
know.
didn't even acknowledge the fact that, like, you would think Troy would have some type of feelings
Well,
about that. But
and by the way, we just already saw the episode
Yeah.
where she was going to get married by this arranged marriage, and he's all, in a tiff over it,
Yeah,
and
right.
and sullen and jealous and angry and
Yeah.
all that. And but man, he puts on that little, disco outfit and gets
Was this
in some.
revenge? Was this his
Oh.
little way of revenge at her? Like, get back? And see, and I would have loved.
She sure
that
handled it better than
conversation.
he did. I'll tell you that much. Troy did.
And
One moment.
she wasn't she feeling it? Wasn't she sensing, what
yeah.
was going down?
One conversation, it would have been so
Yeah.
amazing for them to have a scene where they just have it out just for a moment.
Right.
Even if she's like, I don't care if you want to da da da, she could just say, like, I'm all right with it, just so you know, just an acknowledgement.
Absolutely.
Or he could say, well, you remember the last time when your husband that you were going to marry, just to bring it up, like,
just continuity, a through line. Because we don't get a sense of, are you, aren't you? Where are you?
Right.
Where are you guys at?
Because he was really jealous that last episode.
I mean, that was like
he pouted. He was pouting.
He stormed off.
He stormed off out of the room.
Yeah, they talked about it. They had some direct conversation about this. Relationship.
I didn't think of that. You're so right, Denise. There should, like, why is this happening with no? There was nothing.
Troy just handles it better than he does. I guess
the three of us walk in, and he's like all coming out of the bedroom.
Yeah,
she's coming out in some nightgown or something. I mean, she's in like she's changed her clothing, and I mean, it's obvious. Even the look on Tasha's face is like, what's going on here? Okay, I'm not going to say anything. It's not for me to say. But
what part of the prime directive is this?
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one that I wish I would have gotten a little bit of some kind of thing was, and this is just me personally, when the lady Mistress Beata calls Data, whatever it was, and he says, "Oh, I'm an android, but anatomically male." I zoomed in on Tasha, and I wanted to be like,
yeah, that's right.
Yep, true. Fact.
I know they miss some moments. They don't follow through.
Right.
On things they've already set up that the audience is with you on.
Right.
Would have been fun.
Like the person that wrote this one didn't watch The Naked Now.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Or the person that wrote this one didn't watch the one that Deanna was going to get married.
Mm-hmm. They're very standalone episodes, which is fine and it's cool. But we as the audience, we go, "Oh, so and so is not going to like this," and we watch them. And we're like, "No, she's fine with it." And so we want that kind of continuity. We want that kind of communication between the writers.
Absolutely.
But maybe
like
there
we're
just
doing
wasn't.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it right now. We're going, well, wait a minute. Don't they know that this happened? And
you're 100% accurate with that. Those were the moments where you get to just bring the consistency on the precedence that has already been set by yourself. So
absolutely,
it makes those little relationships become layered. Those awkward looks. It doesn't even have to be dialogue. It could just be, an exchange of looks. Like,
absolutely,
I am anatomically correct, and he looks over at you, and you look over at him.
Tasha, yeah. How fucking great would that be?
Or if he said, when he said, "I am anatomically a male," if Tasha was like, "Are you flirting with her?"
Yeah,
that's the line he used on me.
It would have been great. The only thing they are keep picking up on is the Wesley digs. They keep that consistent though. They make sure to carry that over from one episode to the next, and it's
Well,
like
this time Picard ate it there too, right? Like he threw the
Yeah.
snowball, which was kind of fun.
But he's so mean.
yeah, he's
Picard.
mean sometimes.
To
So
He doesn't
mean.
like children.
That was established. That was
Yeah.
established.
That's
I
the
gotta
one
give
through
him
line
that.
they stuck
He
with.
said that in the first pilot.
Yeah.
There's going to be children. Oh my God, Will, you have to teach me how to be with them. Clearly.
But he's even mean to Beverly sometimes.
He is. He's mean.
The way he
can
talks
be
to her,
very gruff.
you are dismissed. She's helping you recover from the virus that you're going to die from, and you just want to pull your rank, Captain. You're dismissed type of talk. It was just kind of, it's awkwardly placed. Some of the meanness. It's just not placed properly.
It isn't an unnecessary, and it could have been another tone, another color played that would have, had a different effect. When I'm seeing this now, I'm just going, God, why do you have to say it like that? You're the captain. You have total control. And isn't it, don't you have more control when you're in control, than when you're just reactive and angry? This is just the way it's hitting me watching this.
Yeah, I do. I feel the same way. But you know what? I really like Brent Spiner as Data. He's so good at that Data.
Yeah,
like
he is.
He plays moments where, I think Crusher's Beverly said, "Bingo, Data, bingo," and he plays bingo. I don't understand. Like he plays. The way he plays it, it's like he is clueless about certain cultural things, right?
Absolutely.
He makes these. Riker comes back on the ship after they all get back at the end, and he taps Data on the shoulder, like, "Good job, buddy," type of thing. And Data looks like he does one of these, like, what does that mean? Like, what was, what was that tap for? I don't get it, and that's not in the script, but he's playing that in his own facial expression, like, that's weird, Captain,
Absolutely. And
he's so good.
And
he's so good.
I want to give a shout out to as well in this episode is Geordi.
Yeah, that's what I thought that was coming.
He again was able, when he takes command of the ship, it's like it felt to me as if that was happening for the very first time, that he had never been given, that everyone was off the bridge at that moment in time that would enable him to be the only one in command at that point. And again, you often bring up, Cirroc, how great of a job LeVar does in conveying so much without his eyes. There was a feeling that he had of pride, of power, of significance, responsibility. All of those things played without just sitting down and looking at that panel and sitting in that seat. He brought all of that. And I thought he did a just masterful job. As an actor.
We saw him in the first episode being in charge of the battle bridge. But the reason this is different and bigger is because the saucer section has like 1,000 people on it. The battle bridge has whoever's manning this. At this point, he's in charge of everything, and 1,000 civilian lives on there as well. And it was really cool to see, because we know he's another one like Tasha Yar, who's on the fast track going up. He's one of their prize pupils that's coming up.
And you think about it, the captain is sick. We don't know if there's an antidote to this. The away team is gone. we don't know if they're going to get back. You've basically, and Worf is now sick. Okay. So your team, this could be it.
Mm-hmm.
He may, from the foreseeable future, captain this ship and be responsible for all of those lives going forward. So he brings that gravitas to that chair in just sitting down. And that is, people, we know as actors what that means, to be able to play that without eyes, without dialogue.
It's just how he walks. It's how he takes it all in. And the respect he has for the chair, you can see that it means so much to him, and that he's cherishing the moment. He's soaking it all in. It's a really special performance that he gives up until that. And I really liked also the moment with him and Worf, where Worf tells him, "Hey, I think you might want to." You might want to stay here.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Dude, this may be it. You may be the guy going forward.
Right. So you might want to ask somebody else to fix that panel or whatever it is, engineering that you need to do. You need to handle this job because this is it right now. And even the way he says thanks, Worf, I really enjoyed that thanking him. He gave him it felt genuine. It felt like thank you for helping me not make a fool out of myself. It was just
beautiful. It was a beautiful moment. Right moment. I love when there's moments of that. When everything's, we take it back to humanity, our humanity, and we just go, God, you were right and I was wrong, or thank you for pointing me in the right direction. That's the stuff that's the largeness of who we are as people. That demonstrates not just, we know which torpedo to fire, or, which ass to kick. It's really about, how do we treat one another?
Yeah. And the other theme that I notice as well is that, so the Star Trek, the Enterprise crew, you guys have the technology in most cases that's superior to the people you interact with. Some cases it's inferior, like the Qs and the random aliens of the week, but sometimes it's superior. And in those cases, instead of doing what I would feel is the natural thing to do, which is like just go in there and rescue the people that you want to rescue, like forget what the culture, the system, or they have their rules. Like you could just beam them out of the cave and just take them on the ship and just roll out, and it would be really quick and end of episode. But I do like the fact that the Star Trek way is to convince and to allow people to accept and to let things play out and let people choose the better way, as opposed to using your force, because that what would separate you from any other dictator if you just use your force to go in there and knock everybody around and say, no, it's going to go my way because I'm right and you don't know that yet. Again, anybody can say that.
It's that prime directive, the ethics of the prime directive. And again, here was a beautiful, especially for fans who, understand it and love to see it exercised. This was a great episode in which, fans of Star Trek can experience us dealing directly with the prime directive.
And referencing that the other people were not part of a starship, so they're not bound to those rules. The people that were on the outpost or whatever other ship that, the four guys that landed, they're not bound to the rules of the Federation in that case. However, the Odin, that's right. It is time for the home run of the day. Oof. Ooh. I feel like there are a lot of candidates today. What do you think, Denise?
Yeah. Wow. I'm Can I have a tie?
Oh yeah, I sneak in too half the time anyway.
Well, I gotta hand it to LeVar, because I really, again, for all the reasons we went into, he just brought in the simplest moment such clarity and beauty in that performance, and said so much, gave me so much. But I really do love old Tasha Yar in this one for the reasons I stated. She had so many different, like, peacock feathers. She was a peacock that in this episode, where she got to really just express a lot of different levels. And it just delighted me to watch, even though it's weird to talk about yourself in that way, but I'm trying to separate myself from it and just watch the character and the performance, and what she was tasked to do. And she really, they really got, checked a lot of boxes. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Cirroc?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked this episode. I thought there were a lot of good performances in this one, and it's hard for me. But I'm going to say, and I didn't get a chance to compliment her, but I think the woman who played this main mistress, I don't know the actress's name, and if you know, put it in the comments. But
her name is, I'll tell you right now, Karen Montgomery.
Karen Montgomery. Yeah, I think she did a great job. She's guest starring in this episode, and she led in a kind of way that I felt like was good leadership for her people, and she was trying to protect their ideals, and eventually came to the right decision at the end. And I was good with her performance.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that it was, believable. And I thought that there was a genuine compassion there. And yeah, I thought that she did a great job. I also agree with the Tasha Yar and LeVar Burton. And I also like Data, because I think Brett is so consistent about his performance. And he's just amazing. But in this particular one, I'm going to give her, as a guest star, coming in and having to carry the villain role of this episode. I thought she did a very good job of being rational and a good counterpart for Riker, like playing this mental chess game of, whose way of life is better, or who's, got it all figured out. I thought it was a good chess play between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that, honestly, but she just felt very comfortable in the role. It's a tough role to kind of figure out, or to play without being a caricature or overly dramatic or something like that. But she played it as if she weren't playing a role. She acted as though she were not acting, which is the goal of actors. That's a great one. I hadn't thought of that. For me, it is two. I sneak in two, but definitely the wardrobe team, which was Elaine Scheidman, costume supervisor, and Philip Signorelli, key costumer. But also, definitely Denise / Tasha, because as I've said before, watching these, you bring an element to these episodes and these away missions and these stories that we never saw again, that was never replaced. It was never duplicated. And so seeing this, it's really like a beautiful thing to see. It's almost like this element that you didn't know was missing. Like when you drink water, but didn't know you were thirsty, and you kind of like take a sip, but you're like, actually, this is really good. And you keep drinking. It's like that, so there was you just felt very, savvy, very poised, very confident. And it puts us as viewers at ease, saying, all right, this is being handled, whether she is giggling at Riker, or whether she's doing what Riker says, or whether she's going out and leading the mission herself, or whatever it is, she's doing it in a way that is that we have confidence in, or that we're very comfortable with. So home run of the day for sure there. And that's it.
I love you, Ryan.
We love you too.
We feel safe in Tasha's hands. We definitely feel safe with Tasha around.
There was a word I was trying to remember, but I can't remember it. So here it comes. Let's give some special thanks to... Nope, still can't remember the word. Homer Frizzell, Dr. Anne-Marie Segal. By the way, special thanks to Anne-Marie Segal for finding Leonard Crowfoot for us. Great recommendation there. Eve England out in Wales. Yvette Blackmon-Tom. TJ Jackson-Bey out in Missouri. I'm mad at him because of the Grizzlies. Bill Victor Arucan.
Arucan.
Titus Mohler. Darlena Marie. Dr. Mohamed Noor, Tierney C. Dieckmann, Anna Post, Anil. By the way, congratulations to Anna Post, Anil O. Polat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, DQ, Neil Akasaka, Justine Norton-Kertson, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, Edward Foltz, My Live in Tokyo, Mr. Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Justin Weir, Jake Barrett, Jane Jorgensen, Henry Unger, Allison Leach-Heid, Jed Thompson, Luther Haynes Jr., Dr. Courtney Lewis, Beth Ernest, and of course, Dr. Susan V. Gruner and Jason Okun. All right, that's it. Everybody stick around. Damn, I still can't remember that word. It's like a C-O-N word. We'll be right back with the free-for-all. Stick around on the 7th rule. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th rule. This is the free-for-all. We've got Melissa Longo joining us with a very naughty background. We have Dr. Susan V. Gruner piloting the ship. Courtney is here. Dr. Courtney, we like to call her. With her books in the background. We've got Eve, of course. You know, she's out in Wales. Looks like she's got a cool Chat Pack shirt.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I'm wearing you, by the way. I'm wearing Ryan.
Whoa. Hang on just a second here.
Yay.
Yeah.
We've got the Dark Lord, of course, Chris McGee. That is the disturbance in the force that you sensed. And Mai is live in Tokyo. Looks like cherry blossoms back there. Am I right?
It is cherry blossom season. Exactly.
Oh, nice.
All right. Oh, boy. Here it comes. I think this one's going to be a fun one. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
Oh, this one is going to be around... I liked it. I'm going to say a 7.4. 7.4.
Mark Eaton.
Should be higher.
Copy off his notes, 7.2. There we go.
No, 5.5.
Whoa.
Courtney says 6. We're all over the map. Do I hear a 2?
Yeah. $1.
Any 9s out there? Wait, Sue, you're not giving it a 10?
Oh, dear.
Are you drunk?
Trent's butt was a 10.
Yeah. All right,
God,
everybody.
I'll save it.
That was a 10.
You've got Jonathan's nipple. I mean, that's worth
Yeah.
something.
That's why I gave it a
Worth the
7.4.
point. That's where the point. Okay.
Yeah, it was pointy. So it was Trent.
Pointy and hairy. Oh, this is gonna get good, guys. I just feeling
there's
it.
a lot of
Feeling
nipple
it.
talk to be had. It was actually, and I think this is where the free-for-all is going to live after its name, a 5.7.
Oh,
Wow.
Eve, you were close.
5.7. And Eve's like, that's generous. That's fucking generous.
I know.
Wow.
That's harsh. Woo. Okay.
So,
wow.
did we have any NAMs? I heard a NAM for Lieutenant Wong, I think. but I don't know if we ever see who Lieutenant Wong is at any point, in which case it would not be one. Does anybody know?
Mm-mm.
Maybe we'll just make a note of it and see if Wong shows up at some point.
Is it right or is it Wong?
Yeah, it's going to be a long day with that joke.
God.
Melissa
Oh,
Longo,
God.
please save us. What'd you think of this episode, and how are you today?
I'm okay, and I don't know if I'm gonna save you. This episode. Well, this outfit saves the episode. This is worth watching the episode, and Trent's buns. I will say that I liked the premise of the A story, the idea of it. I liked it, and I can appreciate what they were trying to do with the episode. I'm just not sure that they
Well said.
executed it
Bad
well.
execution.
And we won't even talk about the B story because that's just although Worf sneezing is worth the B story. I love I think I may sneeze. A Klingon sneeze? Only one I know. So yeah. And yes, I could tell that the gentleman in Ryan's picture was a dancer, just the way that he carried himself on screen. Yes, he's very graceful.
Why the giggle after that?
Well, and then the buns, but bring it back to the buns.
Speaking of bringing it back to the buns, Dr. Susan V. Gruner has not stopped talking about them. How are you today? What do you think of this episode?
I've renamed it Death by Legos. Oh my God. I sent you something. When I was watching this, I was thinking of the episode where Harry Kim got in trouble for having a relationship with an alien because he needed medical clearance. And I was just wondering, and then I thought about Trip getting pregnant. Remember he stuck his hands in that thing and on the boat. So I'm thinking, how would you have sex with, how did they know you could have sex with an alien? How do you know that things would match? Or
maybe they just cuddled a lot. We don't know. They were still wearing their clothes.
I guess. It was just kind of strange that Riker to me would just start making out with a woman he had known for just how many hours are we talking about here?
Not even.
Not even.
With Troy on the ship, by the way.
With her cleavage that you can see in Melissa's the cleavage. Killed me. Oh, I don't know what else to say. I look at the fabrics.
Well, at least it's equal opportunity cleavage,
I actually thought about that for once. I look at the fabrics. It's one thing that I always notice about in all of the Star Treks. I like the uniforms and the costumes, but they use in that stuff that they use is really not very great fabric. Is it deliberate?
Yeah, I think it's a primitive thing. It's
teaching them a lesson.
Yeah, right.
Why is that cheap fabric?
For
Listen to the music approach. They ripped down the curtains and used those.
Any of the fabric. I mean, our uniform fabric was crappy. There wasn't anything good about it. It always felt, everything felt a little rinky dink. That we pulled it off at all. I mean, so yeah, I mean, they didn't have a big budget, believe me. They did not have a big budget this first season. So they had to make it, they had to stretch it. Lots of polyester.
Yes. Yeah, that stuff does not breathe.
No, it doesn't, especially under those lights.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah.
And something that Melissa said, I think it was Melissa earlier in another review that we did, you thought about
then yeah.
actors and actresses knowing what they're going to have to wear to be background actors.
Oh, right, yeah.
They're going to have to wear. How do they tell you? You're going to have to wear a thing that shows for a man that shows your your hairy chest, or in that picture of Riker behind you.
Well, you saw my reaction when he comes out. I mean, that was no acting.
That was so awesome.
That was no acting. I mean, it was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Fabulous.
I wondered about that.
I mean, that was for real. It's hard to laugh on cue, you know, and it's one of the hard. Actually, it's much easier to cry for me on cue, but to make a guttural, you know, balls out laughter at, you know, like hysterical laughter is really hard. Really hard, and that was just genuine. Was that the first time, the first take or whatever you call it, that he came out and you saw that? Probably, I would think it's not going to get any better than that, you know. that was good, you know. Print, we're moving on, you know. It just like that. I don't think I hadn't seen him in that, you know. I'm hoping, God, that would have been great, is if I just said, I know the scene, I know the reaction I need, so don't let me see you, you know, until you actually walk out on camera. I mean, that's the kind of stuff tricks you play as an actor, you know, for yourself. Like, don't give me a drink of this until I have to actually drink it. So the reaction on my face is for real, you know. So, you know, those kinds of things you're always you know, trying to set up for yourself. So, but when I saw my reaction when he walked out, I went, oh, there's absolutely no way I had seen him before that.
Love it.
And you were sitting down, so you got the full impact.
Yeah. Well, and I love Troy. You know, Troy just goes, Tasha, get a load of this guy. Get a load of this. And it was, and that was just, you know, maybe the only moment Troy and I had in the whole series where we just, you know, we're in on it together, and there was just this wonderful bond. Yeah. It was kind of cool. Anyway, I digress. You're making me think things through here.
And speaking of balls out, by the way, that's going to be the next episode, the way this show is going.
That's another question, though.
Balls out laughter.
Do we have any, is there video, or what do you call it, bloopers of this episode? Because, man, I would love to see them.
There's going to be some first season bloopers for sure. Everybody in the comments below,
take that.
Give us a link.
Wearing that?
Oh, no. You know, Johnny, oh, God. Okay, I'm going to really digress here. Do you guys have time? Well, we don't have as many of us. Okay. So he is a silly goofball. And whenever he could do something like in this vein, put on some wackadoodle outfit or crack a joke, he went all the way. So he was parading around in this thing like a peacock, you know, just like, oh, look at me, I'm so good, I'm so hot, this is great. He used to wear over his uniform a hot pink Chanel woman's bathrobe, 3 sizes too small. He paraded. We were all, the first season, we were all given bathrobes from the bowels of the great Paramount wardrobe building by our assistant costumer, Cha-Cha Blevins, so that we would I know Cha-Cha was her name. Yeah. We would put them over our uniform, especially someone like Brent, who had all this gold powder that had to be done. You know, we would put them on over our uniforms while we were being made up and while we were off camera, so that we didn't get all this powder and goop on us. And, you know, each one was handpicked specifically for our personalities or our character. So Jonathan was given the hot pink Chanel women's bathrobe, with sleeves up to here, because he wore that thing as if he was, the second coming. Walked around Paramount lot in that thing. It was hysterical.
Wow.
So
where are those photographs?
I know.
Somebody find those pics.
He's in on the joke. He's definitely in on the joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of second coming, let's talk about this episode a little bit more. Okay, I'm glad nobody got that. Dr. Courtney Lewis, what's up with you? How are you? What do you think of this? Because, they woke up the next day and we're still making out. I don't know.
I don't think I can follow that. I think.
Oh, God.
Don't try, Courtney.
No,
don't try.
please. We'll cut it right
Don't
out. Don't
try.
even worry.
Just
Rise above, your level is so much higher than.
Is it?
I think so.
It could be. Not always. But I do have to say, I hate to say it, but this is one of my least favorite episodes. Like across the board, on a scale of cringe, I would put it at one of the cringiest episodes. It obviously has some issues, many that have not aged well, even when it was released. Some super problematic. I think one of the, all of the kind of obvious issues aside, I was disappointed at the lack of any character growth in this, other than maybe in Riker's sexuality, which, as Sue mentioned, also a little ethically questionable given what has happened with other folks and their interactions with species, even not as ambassadors. But I think all of the actors did really well. I really love seeing Geordi in command, even if it was just, both as an actor and in the character role, even if it was just for a little bit. And I have to say that finally, I can say that they used security and Tasha in appropriate situations, as opposed to comments on previous episodes where I was like, where's Tasha? She's right there. She's there at every turn, and thank goodness she's also there to evaluate Riker's outfit. Yeah.
Critique. Good stuff. Thank you, Courtney. Eve, what's up with you? You love this episode, right? What'd you think? Eve, who, by the way, this is her first time viewing The Next Generation, and so far not terribly impressed, right?
The Traveler, I like The Traveler. That was a good one. But this one is kind of a couple of pegs higher than Code of Honor in my view, on the sort of problematic side, which Courtney's just mentioned. Actually, reading the companion there was quite interesting. They said that originally it was designed to be more of an allegory for apartheid, and they changed it quite considerably from that. But they did it so that it was always going to be a gender question rather than a race one. But I feel that maybe they kind of lost some by moving away from that, because I think it could have had some potential there to do something more interesting. Because I think the thing that troubles me more than anything is, and I got really excited at the start where we had Troy and taking on this kind of leadership role with to communicate with them, but then it kind of moved on and it all became about how Riker was going to save the day. And I thought they really missed a trick having they could have had more of you, Denise, there, and Troy, and I would have liked more of you guys saving the day and coming up with a solution rather than it just, which was problematic in the sense that basically Riker seduced that lady, and the whole premise fell down in my view in terms of the fact that she fell for him in the first place when there's supposed to be this sort of much stronger gender or whatever. So anyway, they could have done a much better episode, I think, had they had the opportunity there and they kind of missed it. And then just one funny thing, which this might ruin things for Cirroc a little bit, but did anybody else sort of see any kind of resemblance between Wesley's outfit and the intendant's outfit?
You're right.
Oh, yeah, no.
You're right.
Yeah, Cirroc's not going to like that, but That made me,
Yeah.
that was the highlight for me. I thought
Oh,
that was
no.
hilarious.
Oh,
I don't know,
that
Denise.
is-
I mean, I don't know whether
Sweet
Denise,
dreams,
you found that. I don't know whether you found that
Yeah.
frustrating over the time as well, with the whole fact that you weren't really doing very much in a matriarchal society storyline. It just seemed quite frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about that earlier, that the whole setup was for Riker to have this romantic interlude, but logistically, I should have gone in to deal with her in a kind of a meeting, a conference. It's all set up as this, matriarchal power, and Tasha is clearly showing signs of real command, through this, and confidence and comfort, at ease. She's the only one sitting, in the room that they're put into, the holding room. She is she's really being given this opportunity. And I mean, even now, I even said the whole thing was set up for Riker and she to have this romantic interlude. What if you didn't change a thing and she and Tasha had this romantic interlude? Of course, back then, that would not have, they would not have shown that, but it makes absolute sense as we're watching it 30 some years ago, later, 36, almost 36 years later, we're going, God, I mean, this is where, whether things age well, or and we're kind of dissecting it now in a way that has some problems. But how can you imagine how cool that would have been? How great of a episode. And you wouldn't even, I mean, it would have happened natural. It wouldn't have been like an arbitrary setup, to shock or to, titillate or do whatever, sometimes television will do to create an event. But it would be, well, wait a minute, we're this is the 24th century, this is not a thing. But it was a thing in 1986 and 87.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's very reflective. It's hard to watch now in 2023 and watch it in that same refraction.
And then also the other part that just to add to what you guys are already saying is the contradiction of a society that is this matriarchal society that's all about women empowerment, for her to be, well, then here's this alpha male. He's the answer to my problems. And it doesn't, it would be, that's contradictory to the whole lifestyle that you've embraced and you've developed them for yourself. You would not be attracted to a guy like Riker, actually. It'd be the opposite of what you
She would be attracted to Tasha.
Yeah, exactly.
Or to little guys.
She would look at Tasha and go,
oh my God. Or a more subservient guy, not an alpha guy. I don't see that. That would be she is the alpha. Why would she be looking for an alpha?
Right.
All right. Good stuff, everybody. There's going to be more to talk about, I'm sure, in the Things Left Unsaid segment. We're going to bring this back up again. What's up, Anne-Marie? Welcome. Chris McGee is up next, however, the Dark Lord. So everybody, hide your family. He's coming for you.
Hide them well. No, I really don't have a whole lot to say about this episode, to be honest. So I'm glad you're filling in a lot of that time, Denise, with your reminiscing of the things that happened on the set. As has already been mentioned, Melissa mentioned it, that this, I can see what they were trying to do with the episode, probably a commentary on gender inequality at the time, which, as I understand it, hasn't gotten much better since then. And yeah, one of the questions I have, granted, the B plot was trash, maybe, but I wonder what's the point of this? Where did this virus come from? It couldn't come from the holodeck, right?
God, I was thinking the same thing.
And did they give it a name or any? No, it's just a generic respiratory illness. That's all. It kind of seems silly. I will mention two more things. First of all, the phrase of the episode. I hear the words, but not the sincerity. And secondly, we have to give props to the real star of the episode. No, sorry, it's not Trent's buns. It's actually the set decorator and their choice of these wonderful cylinder-based kind of lamps scattered throughout the entire episode. So fantastic. I don't know why I was drawn to them. I just kept seeing them pop up everywhere.
Yeah, I like it too.
Yeah,
Really cool.
It's very IKEA now, though, isn't it?
Ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Yeah, good points, Chris.
Yeah, that is
good
cool.
stuff. Nice slideshow too. Wow, they are everywhere.
Different shapes too.
Wow.
Oh.
So Mai is live in Tokyo. What's up, Mai? What'd you think of this episode?
About the same as everybody else. I agreed with Eve's assessment of it, but I think the B story deserves a song. So we're gonna bring a little Leonard Skinner to the table. It goes a little bit like this. It goes, ooh, that smell. Can't you smell that smell? A smell of death surrounds you. Anyway. Yeah. A song about substance abuse, but it nails it here, I thought too. So what are you gonna do, right? This episode is being filmed 3 days too late. That green planet, perfect for St. Patrick's Day. What? That would have been good. Angel 1 is a planet name. You want to elevate the women, or do you want to call the planet by a soft pet name for women? What the hell is that? Constitutional oligarchy, my buns. It's a term used for Italian city-states, and it went out by the 1600s because it just resulted in the decline of societies. I mean, the only one actually, Eve mentioned apartheid. That's actually a really good reference because I think that that's one of the few recent constitutional oligarchies we've actually had. But data says Angel 1 evolved into a constitutional oligarchy. It's more of a de-evolution, I think, than an evolution, given the standards of the technology we see on that planet. So that was just a let's baffle them with BS moment kind of thing, I thought. I wasn't too sure about that. The matriarchal society, yeah. Assigning 1950s stereotypical male characteristics to the women, lack of smiling, physical size, interest in politics. But then the makeup they wore, it accentuated their features. And maybe to a male audience, it was certainly designed to make them look as though they eschewed makeup altogether, but they clearly accentuated their features, I thought. Some same era stereotypical female characteristics to the men, the perfume fascination, diminutive in size, obsequious behavior. I found it very offensive. Why would one's gender identity, their assigned sex at birth, dictate their behavior if we're beyond the 1950s at all? I thought the line drawn was just too stark between the characteristics. So a tough episode to love, although we're starting to see the characters evolve a bit. That is true. One last thing. I thought my lasting impressions of TNG, having gone through all 7 seasons and having conveniently forgotten most of the first, is that it makes a lot of statements. And the Star Trek universe in general makes a lot of statements that are applicable to us as people today. And this is, I think, the first time we see something like that, where Riker says, martyrs cannot be silenced. And I thought that was a really good, powerful Star Trek-ish statement. And I like that. And the rest comes in what couldn't be said now. So
good stuff. Thanks, Mai. All right, Dr. Anne Marie Segal. Lots of doctors today. That's why we're so smart all of a sudden. What do you think of this episode?
I mean, I personally love it, and I give it a 10. It's just one that I love from back in the day, and I know that it has a lot of problems, but first of all, the director got the script like 4 days before it shot. So all things considered, it's pretty impressive. And, you know, like back in the 80s, it was pretty progressive, and it did sort of, I mean, I saw this when I was really little, and it did make you think a little bit because it wasn't like anything else you were seeing on TV. So it has to, I feel like it deserves props for that in 1987. And it was syndicated, so it had to like stick to it couldn't push barriers too much or else it wouldn't get picked up. But otherwise, like, two things. There's an Instagram account at Star Trek Design singular, and they sort of like take stock of like all the things like the sconces and then tell you what like Italian designers or whoever makes them. So it's a super fun follow. And these early TNG episodes are like rife with things that show up on this Instagram account. And then the other thing is, I'm just such a Leonard Crowfoot fan, and I'm such a Nijinsky fan, and I would have like, I don't want to get this video banned from YouTube, but I totally would have killed to see it. Like, if he ever does his one-man show again, I'm so there. Like, no matter what city it's in.
YouTube, she said she'd be thrilled to see it, was what she actually said.
Yes. And you can see like some clips of it on YouTube and on his webpage, and it's just, oh my gosh, it's just blows your mind. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Any final thoughts, Denise and Cirroc, before we roll out?
Well, I have been so deeply impressed and moved by our guests that have come on board with us. It has been this gap of time that I've had anything to do with any of our Leonards and Eric from The Traveler and Harvey last show. And I leave the podcast better than I came, by my heart growing, expanding, touched, moved, inspired by all of those things. And much to my surprise, I mean, when you guys asked me to come on board and do this walk through the Next Gen first season podcast, you're generally, you know what you're getting into, and it's fun, and but I am been so personally inspired and moved. So thank you for that. Sorry.
Love you, Denise. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The other
Thank you
thing
for
I
going on
want
this
to
journey
say
with
to
us.
you guys is how incredible I have found this free-for-all with all of you. I'm halfway in, and I've gotten to, sorry.
It's okay.
I've gotten to know you a little bit. And you are all so incredibly smart and fun and funny and generous and engaging. And again, took me by surprise. So I look forward to seeing you each week and doing this together, because it would not happen without you. I would not be watching these episodes, certainly not with this amount of fun. And, I don't know if I'll ever do this again. I don't know if I'll ever see these episodes again in my lifetime. And so this could be really a very unique and special moment. So, sorry, Leonard kind of blew me away.
Denise, we are so freaking lucky to have you on the show. My goodness.
Yeah.
We really are.
Yeah.
And I am lucky to be here. Vice versa. It's a two-way street. Believe me. The fact you guys will get to watch what we did Sunday, right? With Leonard, and again, I had to keep it together, while he's telling us this incredible tale of resilience and spirit and fight in this life. And wow, there's no excuses. There's no excuses after seeing that. Mm-hmm. So I am just I want to leave. I'm just so happy to be part of this. And Cirroc, Ryan, man, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, Denise. We really love you. You're so freaking smart and strong and have such powerful opinions, and you're so thoughtful. And it's amazing how you don't remember specifics of episodes, but you remember every tiny detail of what people wore when you weren't shooting. And when you all the slices of life moments, but you really elevate this podcast. We really appreciate you joining in on the time that you have.
That's my favorite part, is the little details behind the scenes.
Yeah, that's fun.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Well, of course. I mean, this is stuff, we can dissect the episode, down to the nth degree, and we are all
Not this
have
one.
opinion about we all have we can talk about it, ad infinitum, but it's the stuff that I suddenly remember, or that come to mind on the spur of the moment, and I feel safe enough and trusting enough to be here, and just whatever comes to mind. I'm trying not to filter too much, which I don't think I have.
Nope.
Make me look good, guys. Make me look good. The universe. Oh my God. The world we live in now. But yeah, we haven't said anything that's, untoward or, gonna affect me in any way. But I've just enjoyed the camaraderie and the experience of doing it together, because again, like I said, I wouldn't be doing this. I would not sit and watch the Next Gen, my episodes. That's weird. That's just weird. Anyway, I love you all. Cirroc.
Well, Denise, you basically, put into words how I feel as well. The seventh rule is my family, and I didn't expect it to become like that either when I first started on the journey. And it's one of those amazing blessings of going through this, watching the show together with everybody, and and just sharing our own viewpoint. So I think that has been a real treasure for me, and it's been a pleasure working with you, Denise, and working with Ryan and everybody who's contributing with this show. I love everybody. So I'm glad we got that out of the way, and I'm glad that you're enjoying it too as well, Denise. I mean, that means a lot. But yeah, no, as far as this episode is concerned, I just have a couple of points. I too thought of a song. My song's a little bit different. Mine is an R. Kelly song, and it was
right in the closet.
Uh-oh. That's appropriate, isn't it?
This one is somebody Riker knocking them boots. Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, there's Anne Marie's favorite line.
There it is.
The Tasha Yar line.
Yeah. I did hear that Riker had a good gesture to give Mistress. I guess that's what they call it nowadays, is a good gesture. So you got to keep up with the terminology.
Didn't he also say, "Will you still respect me in the morning"?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. Rock, I want you to use that line. I want you to start using that line. I have a good
gesture.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah. But will you still respect me in the morning?
Yeah. And then her response was, "Oh, I have to repay you in kind." I was like, "Repay you in kind." Okay.
So you're gonna get him a gift.
Brings to mind AC/DC songs.
There's a lot of AC/DC songs that we should not touch in this.
And then my last point is, Tasha, if you're in charge of security, then I thought it was imperative for you to hand Riker some condoms.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah. You know, I think
You're gonna need
in
this.
the 24th century, we're using a little bit of a different thing.
Okay.
You know, there's like because that's like
The
so
force field.
that that's so 1980s
Ultra
condom.
thin
You know,
force
Shields
field.
up. Shields up, guys.
Shields up.
I think we can just, infrared or laser or something. I don't know what, but it goes in a machine and comes out.
Okay.
Oh, are we still recording? Sorry about that,
All
everybody.
right. Sorry about that.
It's even
Oh
worse when
my
we stop
goodness.
recording, believe me. So that's about all the time we have. It's been a lot of fun, though, and many more. We're looking forward to another 9 or so episodes with you, Denise. So freaking cool. This is monumental. This is 35 years in the making, and it's about time. So thank you to Courtney, Sue, Mai, Chris, Eve, kinda, Melissa, and Anne-Marie, for myself, Cirroc, Denise, and Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. We thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Until then, always remember the 7th rule.